Welcome back to the Industry Brief. Spencer, good to have you. What are we talking about today?
All right, so today there's some big news that popped out. I think it was yesterday.
Big.
Big as in a big
Huge.
fail, a huge fail.
Huge.
So apparently the developer of High Guard, which we talked a little bit about, I think a week or two ago, Wild Light, laid off or seemingly laid off most of its staff. We're not quite sure exactly how many people have been laid off, but it seems like it was pretty significant. And I think they claim they're laying them off and just maintaining a core team to continue the development, as they didn't have as large of a launch, and so they can't sustain the development team that they wanted to. Is what Wild Light said. Is what they put out as a PR.
The wonderful legalese.
And I mean, they're not wrong. They didn't have the launch that they wanted. But it brings up an interesting question. Okay, so Ryan McCaffrey, well-known journalist in the scene, he commented on this, and he's saying that so he says the economics of the video game industry are fundamentally broken. He says, and I should clarify that I'm not making a statement on the game at all. I haven't played it. It's not my jam. But my point was that their post-launch runway was crazy short, which was only 2 weeks, which seems like bad business. I guess I should say live service game economics are fundamentally broken. So that's the topic of discussion. Live service models. Like, are they good? Are they bad? Are they broken?
Good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, quite literally, yeah. So
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that?
I have lots of thoughts on live service, and I think it's a question of how do we unpack it. But live service fundamentally is broken because it's something. It is games as a service. It's gas, right? It's trying to take the SaaS model, software as a service, and apply it to games. The problem with that, SaaS, if you were to think about like the adoption curve, the adoption cycle of SaaS, it starts low and grows and looks like this, right? That's the nature of SaaS. You get some users, it's really hard to get product market fit, but once you hit product market fit, usually there's a hockey stick, and that's why they always show when it comes to investment. Games have the inverse graph. Oftentimes they start at the top. Video games do in general, and there's the nuance here, but most video games get a huge influx of players at launch and then slowly decline or potentially rapidly decline, right? Like that has been the models of video games because there's just, you play a game, you enjoy it, you move on.
It's right? Like a movie or a TV show. Any form of entertainment, novelty is valued.
Yep. Big waves, big bursts, movies, big bursts in the media, marketing, everything, and then they die off. That is the nature of entertainment. The problem I have with live service and games as a service is that you are trying to take that SaaS model and apply it to games, and you just have to perpetually, you have to constantly create content. You have to create a game that can basically capture the majority of the market. And that the problem with games as a service or live service is that only a few can survive. So my biggest problem is, one, you're trying to take this model that isn't very fitting for the entertainment industry. And then two, the only way you make that model work is by basically becoming one of the few that survive, unlike and very little competition, because that's the nature of SaaS is there's only a few of you, only a few of you can scale, and only a few of you can capture the majority of the market, right? Because you have to continue to capture that customer, that individual, their attention continually for years. And so my issue with it is it makes it so that we don't get new games. I mean, League of Legends to me is always going to be the greatest example. It's been around
20 years,
coming up on 20 years, probably 18 years, maybe
15, 18 years. Yeah.
Like that game is it's changed a lot. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, it's not until Deadlock has come around have we really had a MOBA that's even potentially going to break into this, right?
You know, that's an interesting point, is that the live service games that have seemed to survive the best kind of cracked the your three pillars, which are, let's just reiterate, they are gameplay,
Yep.
um, kind of, is it atmosphere or story? How
I
do you
call
what
it
do you
brand. So
brand?
gameplay, brand,
Okay,
and
that
model.
includes like, yeah, in the model. So it's like they picked the model, okay, and they actually, I guess they like, and the model could, the live service model is proven to be successful,
Very
right?
successful.
Very successful. So it really depends on the gameplay and the branding. Um, and it seems that like the games that stick around for the most part, uh, almost always nail those right off the bat. There are some that I think fall flat on gameplay. There have been instances. The biggest, the zombie game that crawled out of the grave and rose to, heroic status is No Man's Sky, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
it's like a meme at this point where it's like, not another free update, please. Like, I'll give you my money.
Give you money.
Come on, Sean, please. Um, and it's true. And they put out, I mean, I just this week, I've never played the game. I've had some friends that played it, but I've always followed the content. I follow Sean Murphy on Twitter, and I like seeing what they do with the game. They recently put out an update where they introduced all of these like new vehicles, a gravity gun, and it's just wild to me that they're still putting that out for free and for so long. So, but in the case of No Man's Sky, they dropped it hard on gameplay. I think that it really fell down flat. But the branding, I think, was there. Like the promise of
It
what No
was
Man's
so
Sky,
strong.
dude. Like I remember watching the reveal. I was like, dude, this is like, if you could deliver on that. And then they did eventually.
Eventually. And that's to go back to, again, even that triangle, the brand, model, and gameplay. They nailed the brand. They nailed the model, right? But yes, the gameplay was lackluster, but they've stuck at it, that they've now become strong in gameplay. I don't think though they could have done that if they had a weak, I would say a weak brand and then launched poorly and then slowly built it. It's because they started so high, people knew
Mhm.
who they were, so they almost, you get a little bit of a grace period. And I say that in a way of, if you're already known, you get a little bit more grace. And that sounds crazy because usually you're like, no, you don't get grace. People just stomp on you,
No,
like people come at you, but you get grace in a way because you got enough attention that you're going to get attention again when things go positively as well.
right. So you're saying that essentially no press was bad press.
No press is the worst press, 100%. A lot of people are saying High Guard, they got all this attention at the end of not E3, the Game Awards, and that was so bad. It's like the only reason why it perceives to be bad is because they had bad gameplay and model, right? And I wouldn't even say bad, just mediocre.
Yeah.
But like, they actually probably got a lot more players. They had tons of streamers come and try it. We're talking about it. Like,
That's actually a good point. Like it's on people's tongue. Like people know what High Guard is. I don't know though if like in the age of internet, right, where it's like uh it's an argument that you can make that Steam should put a 1 hour minimum requirement before you can do a review or something like that. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand what they're saying, which is like, okay, like one match is 30 minutes. You have people reviewing the game after 15 minutes. It's like, you know, so I do wonder though if it, like, how much of the hate that they got is just bandwagoning,
and there totally is.
right? But the bottom line is that they didn't nail gameplay. Like you said, I think it's probably like, okay, pretty good. I mean, there was the makers of Titanfall and Apex and Lucid, who's like a pro Halo player. He says shooting feels good. There's just a lot of other aspects of gameplay that were maybe a little confusing, mediocre.
And gameplay is so relative, but gameplay is, I would almost say, the experience of the game, right?
Yeah.
And so gameplay, Expedition 33, the experience of the game isn't just the mechanics. It's
Mhm.
how you experienced that game and the way you moved around, the fun, the exploration. Like there's layers to that,
Mhm.
right? And so there's layers where it was confusing, it was inaccessible because I didn't know what exactly the game entailed, right? So genre
Yeah.
was confusing. So all those things, all those layers make it so it could be good mechanically,
Yeah.
but bad gameplay. Right?
Yeah,
And
you're right. Like gameplay is complex, yeah. And I think they just dropped the ball hard on branding, you know.
And the live service, the thing is, I think, which circles back to like the problem was being live service. You cannot succeed in live service, which is, I guess, to circle back, you cannot succeed in live service being weak in gameplay, even like somewhat moderate in gameplay and even in brand, but gameplay especially, because you have to create such an addictive loop that people
just stick around.
They're going to stick around, and then they can monetize that, right? Like that is the key piece. And Halo is a great example where they have the IP, they have the brand, they had the model, but they didn't have the gameplay. They had tons of people jump on, millions when they launched, and tons of people left. And so then what happens? The live service doesn't work because you didn't create that momentum. And so going back to your question, it's like, yeah, you cannot make a game that's not right out the gate successful. It cannot be a successful live service, in my opinion.
Well, and that's a great point, is that like live service games in particular, because of what their promise is and their gameplay is usually built around essentially ever evolving experiences. So, like it's not solid enough, I would say, or there's not enough depth to keep you there forever. Right. Like Expedition 33 is built to have like depth, like Skyrim is like, super deep that you could mess around in the world for forever. And then, but Skyrim's actually an interesting point, is it almost functions like a live service game because of the modders.
But that's a different model, right? So if you were to say the model, and if we were talking about it right before we jumping on, it's like live service games is a unique word, because you label No Man's Sky as live service. I don't know if I'd label it.
What would you call it?
It is live service. There's like live service multiplayer, and there's like live service.
Like No Man's Sky is multiplayer.
Yes, but it's not competitive. I think there's a difference between.
Yeah, you're right.
Because the model is different. The way you monetize is so different, and the need to, and it's such a different, because Grand Theft Auto, right? That's live service.
Yeah. Well, yeah, GTA Online at least.
GTA Online, right? That's live service, but like, its function, and it functions differently as a live service. Right?
Well, so like let's just go ahead and define the term then. So like, how do you classify a live service game?
Yeah, so live service game is a game that continues to get updates. It is, I would say, updates, number one. Number two, its monetization is based around the updates of that game. I'm trying to think what else. How else would you classify live service?
Well, I would say that the content that is put out, the core content for the game is usually free updates.
So you're like the free to play?
No, not free to play. Like you still may have to buy the game, but say the maps. Like let's take Halo 3 back in the day. Like Halo 3 had some DLC. Like what separates DLC from live service games? And
yeah, that'd be called DLC. That's at least from a model standpoint. We would
but I'm saying service. Like what's the difference is you pay for the DLC, right?
Right.
So it can divide the player base. And so the live service, all the playable content has got to be able to still unify that. Like it can't separate the player base.
For sure.
So it has to stay. The main core content is free, and then maybe you add some flavor on top of that in terms of, like the battle passes are common, or cosmetic microtransactions. Yeah, I know you do. Hey, go over there and ask mom, okay? Okay. All right. Yeah, live service. Got to take care of him often. I subscribed for
Parent.
18 years, right?
Oh, you think it's only 18?
Yeah, that's true. In this economy,
Kidding me? In that economy, that's gonna
yeah.
be here in 18 years. No, but
So,
the
like,
only pushback that I have though on that idea, because live service, the way you just outlined, like that's just a part of live service. Because No Man's Sky is, would you classify No Man's Sky as live service?
oh yeah. Like, and the other thing about live service games is they don't have a sunset.
Sure. Yeah, there's no
Like,
sunset. There's no the next iteration.
yeah, like there's no end of life type of thing, right? They might bake it into the cake at a certain point, but usually what they'll do is they'll just, like, if they I mean, it's like, take like Sea of Thieves. Like, Sea of Thieves is definitely live service. And there have been enough updates that it's like, well, you could call it maybe a second game. Sometimes these live service games get graphical updates.
Yeah, they're so
So,
different than their original.
yeah, then the original just like doesn't even look the same. I think Fortnite's like the obviously the quintessential live service game that the core gameplay was there, but if you were to look at Fortnite, alpha and Fortnite now, and you had never heard of live service games, you would say, "Oh, this is a sequel."
Yeah, League of
Right?
Legends is the same way. Think about League of Legends that came out in 2009 today.
Yeah.
Graphically, so different.
It's like, oh, they just like, new champion. It's like Smash Bros. It's like, what's the difference? Like, oh, a couple change mechanics, some more characters, and a graphical update. And now you got a new game, you got a sequel.
Yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, I think Super Smash would be awesome as live service.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because essentially what you get is that you just chunk it up, and you, instead of just putting it all together in a package and calling it a sequel, you're going to push it out. Now, the thing with live service that I think is hard for the industry is that they demand to be time sinks.
they have to be.
They
'Cause
have to be.
You have to capture a certain threshold of players.
Right. You're trying to monopolize the player's time. So I put something together for you. Unless you've got something else you want to show, but I've got something for you.
Oh.
All right, you got something?
No.
Okay, you ready? Drum roll. So I have a buddy named Claude who put this together for me.
I love Claude. He's such a good guy.
He's great. Okay, so I asked him, and we were looking at how many live service games can the industry sustain.
Yep.
That's the big question for me.
Not a lot.
Let me see here, actually. Let's see if I can pin you. Let's see your base. So,
I can change the layout. You just share.
all right, cool. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let's go through this. Okay, so this is from like 2024 to through 2025. Okay. We got total revenues like about 190 billion, which is global. And now we get into some of the interesting pieces. Okay, top 10 games share 65% of all live res service model. So you have only 10 games are taking over half, like well over half of all the revenue generated by live service.
Which makes sense because they're capturing the majority of the market, right? Because, yeah. So what games are they? So you got League, Fortnite,
Valorant. So League, Valorant, Fortnite. Fortnite's 18%. So it's the monster there. This is also like player time distribution here. Okay. So what's interesting is that non-live service games only take up 15% of players' time. Not necessarily their money, but their time.
So Fortnite takes up more time
than all
non-live service games.
Wild, dude, right? Crazy. So you've got Fortnite, League of Legends, 12%, Valorant at 10, GTA Online 8, Genshin Impact, and then it kind of squeezes down to Apex Legends and Warzone. You got some other live service games. But essentially, it looks like the market can sustain about 15 to 20 major live service games at once.
across different genres, even
It's different genres, right? I mean, like these are not all
very different genres.
right.
MOBA, third-person shooter.
Yeah. Actually, I might need to point out that CS:GO is not in here, which I suspect it is. So maybe we missed that. But
It might be in the other live service games, but
oh, that's true. That's true. But you're right. So if you look at this, these are almost all the ones listed here are very different.
different audiences.
Yeah, different audiences, and some of them are different genres. Sure, you got Apex Legends, Fortnite, which are battle royales, but they're so different that I think that they almost can kind of operate in the same space. You got League of Legends, the only MOBA.
Yeah.
Got Valorant, which is your tactical shooter. GTA Online, that's like its own thing, I guess. I don't know what you call that.
I don't know. It's like Destiny almost, not really at all, but they're they're like the mission driven ones. I don't know. You know what I mean? They're a little bit odder, but Genshin Impact too. I think Genshin Impact.
I've never played that. What is that one like? Or
It's like Genshin Impact. I've never played it either, but I know enough. It's almost like Oblivion or Skyrim. It's they're online.
oh, like Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, I would say I know people won't like that, but I would say something like that. It's like you explore a big world. It's like World of Warcraft mixed, but not really. It's more. I would say more like Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay, so this is kind of interesting here too. So if we look at this market churn, okay, so the green line is going to be active, like sustained AAA live service games. The blue are going to be titles that are launched that year, and the red would be the number of live service games that were shut down. And so you can see like we have a rise as like the gaming population grew quite large,
Especially into the kind of COVID era.
and then I think in 2020 you're seeing this peak with like 18 games, live service games launch. It was because people that saw the crazy rise in gaming demand through the pandemic.
And the money in live service, by the way.
That's true.
Billions of dollars.
That flowed into it. And so then approximately 2 years after that, you've got people putting out, so maybe people were able to accelerate their dev rate. But then now we're coming back down to reality, like it just doesn't look like the market can sustain that, because you see the red line doesn't drop as fast as the green or the blue. So we're bleeding more games than we're getting.
And because old games, Fortnite is becoming an older game. League of Legends is an old game. GTA Online is becoming an older game. Destiny is an old. I mean, like all these games. I'm looking at this list.
Yeah.
Is a single one of these games less than 5 years old?
No, I mean,
No,
not at all. And it's like,
some are 10 to 15 plus.
well, and I think if you look up here in this upper corner here, the live service failure rate is about 75% die within 2 years of launch. So it makes sense that
And we're looking only at really the big boys too, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. Like this is only really AAA tier type of games, which I would say most live service titles try to occupy that same space. Even if they're indie developed, they have to compete against the AAA guys, because they monopolize gamers' time.
And they do. And Roblox isn't on here either, and that should be.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Like
its
Roblox,
own category.
It's almost its own category. But yeah,
That's
let's
true.
look at revenue.
Let's look at some revenue here.
Yeah, so Fortnite is an
Fortnite be crushing it. Interesting. Genshin Impact is on the decline. But then you look at these that are just stable. League of Legends, Candy Crush, that they just kind of are.
Well, that's always mobile games. This is the mobile game. That is the only model. And if you were to look at actually at the top mobile games, it's the same thing. There's like 5, 10 that carry the top spot. you know, and specifically in certain genres, there's probably maybe
That's
20 or
true.
30, but
It's like PUBG Mobile's up there. Yeah.
like there's going to be certain mobile games and they're just going to dominate their genre. There's going to be maybe one or two, and it's just going to, I remember when I did the study on puzzle
Hmm.
games like Candy Crush, and like it was purely, it was a couple on the top that had 80-90% of the market. The rest were like fighting over, you know, the scraps. And
Yeah.
so I think that is the impact of live service games, is that only a few can survive, and you basically have to kick out the incumbents at this point.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
do, right? Because it's like, like back here and kind of the main conclusion, right, is that since you have 10 big titles that are keeping up 65% of the live service revenue, you can have another 10 to 15 that can operate with that remaining. But beyond that, it becomes a zero sum game.
and if you are building a high, huge budget live service, right? Concord, High Guard,
Yeah.
you got to replace, or it has to be a smaller budget game. Like
Hmm.
that. I think that's the problem. Is I think some of these companies just dumped money. It was an all-in play, and it's like you cannot do an all-in play like that if you don't have everything nailed.
Totally. I mean, like, look at the day before. Like, it's only 15 mil for dev costs, and it was live for 38 days. Okay, it's a failure, but it pales in comparison to the Concord dev costs.
Such a
Okay, just wild, right? I mean,
what are these other ones? Oh, multiverses. That one's
we got Babylon's Fall, we got Multiverses.
yeah, multiverses is
That was a
insane.
bummer. It was almost like 2 years, but again, it's like 75% fail. Um, yeah,
That's an
Crossfire
example.
X.
Multiverses had the brand, it had the model, it didn't have the gameplay.
Just I don't like. I like. You think for 100 million you could have like gotten the gameplay right, but
A lot of that
I
is
don't know.
going towards the IP, right, and getting people to do stuff like.
That's true, man. That's so true. So, if we come here and look at the survival rate, which is the percentage that are still active at 2+ years, like you were talking about, the best survival rate in the live service is just the casual and puzzle. So that's going to be dominated probably by mobile games.
Yeah, 100%.
And I also don't know if like that's I don't know if No Man's Sky would fit in there or not. MMOs, yeah,
Wow.
MMOs like
That's probably because there's just not been a lot of them, and so I feel like that data is going to be an interesting one.
it's true.
There's a lot less of them.
MMOs also, I think like they kind of like survive off of whales essentially.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
Like more than others. Like the whole like you. It's like back in when I was a kid, it was like, oh, dude, you should try World of Warcraft. I was like, dude, it's like 15, 20 bucks a month.
It's
Yeah, I was like,
$15 a month.
yeah, I was like, dude, in 2008, that was, that was a lot of money. The worst are battle royales, probably because
Makes
so
sense.
many tried
many.
to compete with Fortnite and the like PUBG, the military ones. They just couldn't do it. The other lowest ones are looter shooters.
Like Ark Survivals
Yeah, like Arc Raiders. Yeah,
or Ark
Arc,
Survival.
yeah, survival.
Ark Raiders. But yeah, so I like this Carnage list though. I think that one's
Ooh,
hilarious
let's look at it. Yeah, okay.
because some of these I've never even heard of. Spider-Man Great Web.
Yeah, that's because it was shelved, so it never even released. So some of these just didn't even make it out of the just
Last of
cancel
Us.
deviation games. They didn't even have a title for it. It was just shut down in 24.
And I think we're having them wave away. I feel like a lot of the games that have been successful lately, we're seeing a move away from live service because I think studios are realizing dude, you have to go big or go home. I think that's the answer.
That's just like we're going back and looking at that, right? Like 75% failure rate. Like
Yeah,
if you're a betting man, if you're a gambling man, dude, like do you put money on something that's a 1 out of 4 chance? And you're gonna you're going to drop $200 million on it. Like,
The problem is too, it's like even with a one-time purchase model, the beauty of that is even if you lose money, let's say it takes you 200 million and you only, get like 1 million people to buy, you're still recouping at least a big chunk of your
cost, yeah.
of your costs, because you're still getting people to their pain. Live service, it's basically a giant bill up front with an assumption that you're going to get that paid back over time.
And if the player base never materializes,
it's literally just the whole thing's a sunk cost. You make little to nothing, because especially if it's a free to play versus Call of Duty, which is kind of like you pay for the copy and then do microtransactions after. So it depends on the model, but like I think most do free to play when they go for the live service, because that's that. How are you going to capture critical mass of players? Free to play.
Yeah. And that's I feel like oftentimes those live service games depend on a large player base.
Yeah.
In order to function.
Well, they have to. And that even goes to the graph. I sent you that graph. You could pull that up.
Yeah.
84%. So live service games make up 84% of the currently most popular games being watched on Steam or being viewed. And so if you want to throw that graph up.
Yeah, these right here. Is it this one?
That one's great too. But like, so let's go to that one.
This one up here?
That one.
Yeah. Break it down.
That's it. I just think that's really fascinating. If you want to jump to the next one, which is...
I got to read this. This is make up 84%.
Yeah. Live service games make up 84% of the currently most popular games.
Well, I mean, that goes back to that time graph that we saw on the dashboard. Like, I mean, there's only 15% of non-live service games that are getting people's attention.
The same amount of playtime. And so the amount of playtime, and I am a sad contributor to that. And I know that personally because of my gaming habits, right? Like Deadlock says I have 900 hours. I think maybe a couple hundred hours is completely just me leaving it on.
Yeah. I was like,
yeah,
that math ain't mathin'.
The math ain't mathin'. I have a bad habit of leaving things open. So there's easily
I got you,
potentially a third of that is completely fake. But
yeah. It's like my Elden Ring hours.
So I would guess there's at least 500 hours is real though. I put into Deadlock. I have not put in that kind of hours. In Elden Ring, I probably have 120. Expedition 33, a game I absolutely love, maybe 40. And we're even talking about me maybe leaving these games open for a little bit. Like, I have so much time in this new live service game. I have thousands of hours in Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
Like,
well, dude, but that's crazy. Like, think about that. Like, how many story-based, like, non-live service RPGs could you play? Like, not even just an RPG, but like, say a shooter campaign or just something that's not live service. You could play so many. And then think about the cumulative. Okay, so you got 500 hours of gameplay time. How many dev man hours are needed to support that? If you were to spread that out across non-live service games, how many dev man hours would you need?
So much more. Right?
It's expensive. It's expensive compared to just getting the formula right, iterating it, and letting you just sink hundreds and hundreds of hours into it.
Which I think is, again, that's the key piece here is I have not spent $1 ever on Heroes of the Storm or Deadlock or many of the other, League of Legends, many of the live service games, Halo, not $1. And so it's like the amount of value I've gained, and it almost makes me cheap as a gamer. I'm like, I have to pay $40,
it's true, right? Like you've got 500 hours for free.
And so I think, anyway, and there's the sunk cost aspect where like I learned the game, these competitive games especially, right? If you want to pull up the top 10 games on live streaming for 2025, I think that one's really fascinating. It's like, why are people watching League of Legends still? 1.95 billion, is that hours? I wonder what that represents.
By hours watched with percent change. So yeah, this 1.95 billion hours. Like
Watched,
I
not
don't know if,
played.
is that like the life of, like, is that take us back to like the Jurassic era or something? Like no, that's like billions of years. But still, like that's, I mean, that's like BC, bro. Like we're going back to the pyramids being built with that much time.
It's so much time. And you got Counter-Strike, Valorant, Dota, Fortnite. Most of these are competitive and the other ones are exploratory, right?
Well,
Minecraft, GTA.
I think this is interesting though. Like look here, okay? So this, there's a massive drop off.
Yeah.
Like there are really two large drop offs. It's from GTA 5 to Counter Strike, and then from Counter Strike to Valorant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this just kind of goes to show again that the live service model, it really makes it like the gaming and entertainment's always dog eat dog, but live service, it's David versus Goliath, dude. Like always, you're gonna have these behemoths that just dominate their attention, and the thing is that they have people's attention, and because they're live service, they will continue to maintain it almost always.
Unless they drop the ball. And so it's like,
That's true.
unless they drop the ball, or again, to me, Deadlock, the reason why I reference this over and over, it's because League of Legends is a MOBA. Dota 2 is a MOBA. They're in the top. How many is that? Is this 10? Is that 9? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Top
6,
10.
7, 8. Yeah. And so,
Top 9.
oh,
Top 10.
yeah, I was like, that makes sense for some reason in my mind. But, anyways, you get my point. Like, there's a new MOBA and it's starting to capture. Counter Strike has been around since 1990,
Yeah.
9 when it came out as a custom mode, or, League of Legends. It's like,
Uh-huh.
dude, these games, Dota 2, anyway, so you get my point. So to me, like, these have been around so long. But like, you have to come up with something so unique, and they're spending a year and a half plus this game being in beta, right?
Mhm.
Like, to get this perfect before launch, because they know if they launch poorly,
It's,
it's donezo.
yeah, that's true. And well, and when you're talking about dropping the ball, I don't think the ball is dropped once it's like, if you gain access to the player base, I think that for the most part, you're not going to lose your player base because you drop the ball, because you can put out updates and you get like instant feedback, and you can put out another update and reverse them. Like you don't have to commit to like a whole design framework.
I do think you can drop the ball. StarCraft to StarCraft 2, Blizzard in their way that they executed with StarCraft 2 and trying to take control.
What was
of
that, live
esports,
service?
They made it into live service. I thought, right? Nor did it was a one-time purchase at that time. I think it was. Now it's live service, but that's actually
Right.
a good point. That's a little nuanced because that was 2010.
It's like I would argue that I would expect to, if you lose your player base, it's not because you dropped the ball, it's because the new kid came on the block.
That to me is dropping the ball. League of Legends has not dropped the ball because they have continued to capture the market, because they have been continuous, right?
I suppose that's a good point.
Like, and they even did it by branching out, creating content on Netflix. Dude, that show did not make them money. I promise you. They lost money.
So much, so expensive to make that thing.
So expensive. But they took that because they created such
It
an ecosystem.
made me want to go play League.
It makes you want to go play League, right? It made me want to play. Like,
Yeah.
does that make sense? So they have, in Valorant, they are doing the same thing. They are creating, and they tried it with, now it's 2K. What's their new 2K20 or whatever? What's that new game? 2XKO. 2XKO. They're trying to do a new fighter game that just launched.
Oh, like Valve?
No, Riot.
Right. Oh.
Riot just
Yeah.
launched fighting game.
With
And
like
so-
with the League of Legends characters, like capitalizing on the brand.
Trying to capitalize on that brand. Like, I think they're trying to. It's not doing very well though, and I think that's because it's a very different audience, and seems to be so. But it's like, do they? Again, it's part of their brand. I don't know. It's like some things work, some things don't.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we'll see how that live service does. As a fighting game, there's not really been a successful live service fighting game. I think free to play. Maybe there has been, but
Yeah, I can't, at least off the top of my head, I can't think of one. But
not Tekken,
no,
not
um,
Street Fighter, none of those. So
no. But it is interesting. I guess like you have a good point. So I played Helldiver 2,
yep,
really enjoyed that. Um,
great.
but new kids came on the block, right? So like Battlefield 6 came out, like what was the other thing? Oh, Arc Raiders that
Yeah,
came out. They started taking my time. This week, uh Helldivers launched an attack. So they have like a DM, like a dungeon master, like a game master, right? Who, like, I think his name
it's
is
controlling.
his name is Joel.
Yeah, good old Joel.
Yeah, and he controls the whole thing, and um they do brilliant marketing. So like it made it look like their Twitter account had been hacked by like the cyborgs,
Yeah,
the automatons, and
I didn't see that, but that's awesome.
then they launch an attack on. They're like, major order, we're attacking Cyberstrand, like, or Cybertron, or whatever it is, Cyberstan, I think that was. And so then, like, dude, I don't know what it is, but you're like, dude, like, I gotta get the boys
I
back
gotta join
together.
the fight.
We gotta join the fight. Like, we gotta take down the dirty bots, dude. Like, and
That's the model, though. It's
you're
so
right,
good.
they brought it back to the forefront of my brain. And I see what you're saying. It's like, yes, their gameplay, you could argue that it would get stale or whatever. It's like Arc Raiders might be more refined or blah blah blah, but they are utilizing the model that they built, the gameplay and their branding, to keep me interested. There's like this evolving story, and that's what
Totally.
Fortnite did. The evolving story like keeps people interested.
And that's why Helldivers is so unique, because who else is doing this? Who has a GM? Who has, like, that's kind of running the community? They do it outside of the game, but this is like in the game, which makes it makes it more realistic. It feels like you're a part of something.
Yeah.
That's a beautifully done. And again, that's part of, and maybe I would actually argue that's more part of the gameplay than the model, right?
Yeah.
Because the
Or
model,
even part of the brand.
it kind of is one of the things. Each of those
it's like a
pieces,
bridge.
they feed off each other, right? Like,
Yeah. It's more of a Venn diagram than it is.
yeah, it's not nearly as siloed, obviously, because you need each. But like, they all, and that's the beauty. If you can have all three feed, and it does, it feeds beautifully. And so, for me, and to try to tie this all up, like, live service is a unique thing. We're seeing games that are like, Helldivers is a fascinating one, where it's like PvE co-op, right? Like, because it's not PvP. So yes, I would call it PvE co-op, and like, that's an example of a live service that is not as manipulative in certain ways, like normal competitive games are, because it just sinks me, right? Like, and I say manipulative because it gets me like a vice. But like, that's a different utilization of that model, of that live service, that really works. But it's like, if they missed any of those other pieces. But like, the other reason why I don't think it's bad either, because it is a one-time purchase before it, right? Like, so I don't really have, I'm trying to think of like a conclusion here, but it's like,
let's just bring it back to what Ryan McCaffrey said.
Yeah.
And just like, okay, after all this discussion, his last statement is, live service game economics are fundamentally broken. After what we've discussed, give your final thoughts on that. Are they fundamentally broken?
They're fundamentally broken if you perceive gaming as a progressive medium. And I say that in the sense of, I want video games to grow and progress and have tons of different versions and opportunities to play, because it's entertainment. I think the problem why I think it's broken is like, imagine if I could only watch a handful of TV shows and that capture the majority of people's time, right? Like, you would kind of sit there and go, whoa, like, and
if they never sunset,
like, they just continue. I think that's like the best example I would have, is we are not seeing, I think they're broken because most can't actually make it happen. and I think the economics for most studios, it is not realistic. So I think that's number one. Number two, I think it's broken in the sense of it destroys the progression. We had no new MOBA till finally with Deadlock. You've had no like there's all these. It's just I think stops a lot of innovation.
Mm-hmm. I do agree with that. I think that the idea of are they broken? Not if you're winning,
Yeah, not if you're winning.
right?
It's not broken.
And so it's the I think that there definitely is a sort of mismatch between the reality that 75% don't make it, or maybe that is there's not maybe not a mismatch, but maybe that's what the people that's like, all right, you got 2 weeks. If you don't capture the audience in 2 weeks, we're laying off of your entire studio. Um, Maybe that's the reality of live service games, is that if you can't zero sum game that, take players from somewhere else in the first 2 weeks, you just never will. Um,
Yeah.
I would like to see. I would argue that I agree with him a little bit. I think that the expectations there are a lot of good ideas are going to end up in the dustbin because the expectations are just too high, right? Where I would like to see more people take a chance, like the funders and investors in Hello Games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like yes, like trust the creatives to respond to feedback and to make something big out of this. And um I just don't think that I don't think that 2 weeks is like a good runtime. I mean, like I would rather see it more like a year, but even then, I mean, like they said, 75% fail within 2 years.
Well, again, I think part of the mistake is if you are going to do live service, you have to do the stuff preliminary. Like again, I beating a dead horse. Deadlock, they are in alpha. They are saying, is this good? They are adamant about nailing this before
Yeah.
going live because they know they have to have it perfect. And so before taking it to the masses, I think if High Guard had sat there and said, let's get this into a bunch of players' hands, closed alpha, right?
Yeah. And you know what? Actually, like to one final thing, I know we're trying to wrap up, but it's too interesting. Um, yeah, it's like I think that going back to here, this was an interesting graph here. So this is over time.
Mm,
The average cost of AAA game development
yeah,
and the team size, like the average team size.
up and up.
Yep. And you can see that actually the team size is rising faster than the cost a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Um,
not a ton, but yeah, if you
Not a
see that,
ton, but and actually that's it's a little deceptive, I suppose. There's a bit of a 3 year gap here instead of a 2 year, but the bottom line is that
Hmm.
with these prices for making games, that's not that's not sustainable. And it's
No,
it I think what you're right is that if in the live service revenue model, it should not be launch, win, or die. It should be like what you're saying, like Deadlock does, or another one that I would argue is kind of live service that did something similar, much smaller. Grounded
Hmm.
was in beta for just so long, and it let them work out the kinks. It's like, and I would like to see a wider variety of smaller teams doing things. But when you're looking at it from an employment standpoint, if you're going to break up that 100 400 person team across, say, 40 different studios, so you can kind of like keep costs low and then do this beta, the pie is still pretty small. There's
I'd
only
like to see less live service. I think the answer is what you just said is if you are going to do live service, that's what you got to do,
It's true.
right? But I think most shouldn't. High Guard probably they shouldn't have been live service.
Probably
I
shouldn't
think
have. Yeah,
they just shouldn't have. They should have just come out as a game that's $20, right? And then maybe
yeah,
monetize within after that. But like,
it's true. And maybe that's like the end takeaway is that the economics are broken because it is not built to sustain more than 20 or 25 games. And
Yeah.
so everybody quit chasing that horse. Like, you're not going to steal certain crowns.
Right there. Everyone's chasing that horse, dude, unless you have something or some, like, again, Valve can chase that horse because they have money that they can burn more than almost any company in the world, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people understand, but like, they could literally burn money, make games, toss it, and it wouldn't even affect their bottom line. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
they make billions.
Yeah.
And so billions upon billions of dollars every year. And so I think there's certain companies that can do that. And I, again, League of Legends, it bugs me. The 2K20, I just blanked it again. What was it?
Their fighting game.
Yeah, 2XKO. Goodness gracious, a great example. They need to work on that name. They just fired 80 people because it didn't launch very well. And I'm like, you guys make so much money hand over fist. It's like, I get that you're reducing people, but like, again, live service. This is indicative of it didn't go perfectly.
Yeah.
So now
and I think it would be healthier for the industry if, it's going to sound weird, but if you didn't hire that many people to begin with. I think it's worse for developers if with the whiplash, where it's like, we get on, it doesn't take off in 2 weeks. Well, you're out of a job for, a year. Whereas like, if everybody just kind of downsized the amount of developers that they were paying initially, so there wasn't as huge a demand, some people would exit the field and you get to a healthier labor force, so that it's more sustainable for the developers themselves.
It's hard though. People always want to be in gaming. We're gamers. I want to be in gaming, even though I don't really want to be in gaming, but like,
you kind
of want to.
I get it, dude. Yeah, I remember watching the Bungie vidocs, and I was like, dude, I could do that. I want to do that. All right. Well, thanks for chatting, Cam.
Good chat. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.